Live from the Carl Chevrolet Studios in West Des Moines, this is Iowa Live.
Welcome back to the program, everyone. We just got done talking about a giant in our community, Al Knutson, who we lost back a year ago, last January, in a special tournament that's happening for him tomorrow. But we are going to talk about a different kind of giant with Professor Jeff Stein. We're talking about a giant stature of a man is what this is all about. Hello, Professor Stein. How are you?
I am well, Lou, and you stand tall there behind that counter and in front of the camera, but you don't stand 8 feet 8 inches tall, though, do you?
I want you to try to wrap your head around that, everybody. 8 feet 8 inches tall. I ran into a basketball player. I believe it was a Drake basketball player yesterday, and he was 7 feet tall, and I was just imagining another 1.5 feet taller than that.
Absolutely, and we say that the story of a building is 10 feet. This man, and by the way, at 8 feet 8 inches tall, he weighed more than 300 pounds. That sounds like a lot, but not when you spread it out over 8.5 feet. We're talking about a fellow, Lou, by the name of Bernard Coyne. Mr. Coyne was born on this day, July 27th in 1897, on his family's farm in Oto, a small town in Woodbury County there in western Iowa. Bernard was the second of 6 children, and by the time he was a teenager, he was already 7 feet tall.
As a teenager? Well, now
As a teenager.
Well, there had to have been something going on with his body to cause him to grow at that rapid of a pace.
No, that's very true, Lou.
Yeah.
Bernard suffered from a condition commonly called daddy long legs syndrome. He was one of only 17 people in modern medical history to have stood at least 8 feet tall. And talk about customized clothing. He wore size 25 shoes.
25?
And they had 25. I mean, I've heard of some of these NBA players, but never 25. And they had to have special rigs constructed so he could ride in the family's Model T. Often they drove with a door open, literally the door to the car open, so his legs, which alone were 5 feet long, could stretch out.
All right, now I'm going to take my shoes off here just for a second. I'm still hung up on the 25. Hang on just a second, folks.
Okay.
These are size 10, okay? It's more than that.
There's 20.
Yeah, it's more than that. That is hard to fathom, Professor Stein. Crazy. But obviously, somebody of that stature drew attention no matter where he went.
But despite all of the issues, having to have special clothes, 8 feet 8 inches tall, he was a shy, gentle, and good-natured man. Bernard actually tried to enlist in the U.S. Army during World War I, but he was rejected because of his size. Well, that condition sadly led to liver disease, but he kept growing right up until the time of his death. In May of 1921, he was only 23 years of age. But at the time of his passing, he was the tallest man in the world. And to this day, no Iowan ever stood taller than Bernard Coyne. Mr. Coyne, born on this date, Lou, in 1897.
Now, Professor Stein, how long have you been doing the Iowa Almanac episodes?
We are in our 9th year.
Ninth year.
And this is one of the stories that we have had off and on over time. And I used to pronounce his name incorrectly.
Okay, that's the story I want you to tell, yeah.
Yeah, I used to say Bernard because that's what it looks like. Well, there was a wonderful woman in central Iowa who heard the stories on the radio. And 1 year, shortly before this date, she sent an email through the website, iowaalmanac.com, and said, I don't know if you're going to do the story again, but he was a relative, and they pronounced it Bernard, and I thought you would like to know. Well, absolutely. I mean, we strive for accuracy. Getting the guy's name wrong would be horrible. So, yes, it looks like Bernard, but his name was Bernard Coyne.
So it's B-E-R-N-A-R-D, Bernard Coyne.
Bernard Coyne. And again, 8 foot 8 inches tall, just staggering.
Yeah, it was. When I was talking to that basketball player yesterday, he was Googling it right away when I mentioned how big this guy was, and he's like, "Oh my goodness!" So it really is. So go ahead and check it out, everybody, and realize that somebody from Iowa was over 8 feet tall. people want to find out more details about this and everything else that you talk about each and every day, because there's really cool things happening, how can they go about doing so?
You can see a picture of the man at IowaAlmanac.com. IowaAlmanac.com, Lou. We're also on the Twitter machine, or whatever they call it these days, at Iowa Almanac.
Yeah, X marks the spot, right?
I guess, whatever it is, we're still there.
Professor Stein, you're a giant in your own right as well. Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Always.